Hello, pattern lovers. Welcome to OJ Patterns. Today we'll be working on jeans jacket. So we're working with the metric pattern textbook for menswear by Winifred Aldrich. So we're working on jeans jacket, and we'll be making use of the flat overgarment block. So you need to first have this sloper. This is what we'll be making use of. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is trace out. So using the textbook, it says trace off the flat jacket block and extend to required length. So I'm going to trace off this flat block. This is what we'll be using. And in tracing off, that means I'll trace the back out and the front. So we have front and back in it. So the neckline differentiates it, but the shoulder, armhole, and every other thing is same. So I'll trace front and back from this. So I'll trace them side by side. Alright, now this is the pattern traced out. So we've traced off, and this is the center back. You can know the difference from the neck. Center back is way above, and then the center front is below. So this is a traced out. I have the center back and the center front. So this is CB. Let me just write it out here. Okay. So mark A at the center front hemline. Mark A. So here this is the center front hemline. Don't forget, if you want to extend the length, you can extend your jacket length as required. That's the length you want. So that length becomes your hemline. So this is my required length. So it says mark A at the center front hemline. So this is A for me. This is A at the hemline. So A to B is 2 cm down. A to B, measure 2 cm down. That's the standard measurement. Don't forget, my measurement is small, so I'll just use smaller measure. I'll be calling out the regular one. So A to B is 2 cm down. So this is B, and I'll just score it. So that's B, and it says draw a curved line from B to the side seam. So draw a curved line from B to the side seam. So this is our side seam. So we have to connect it by curving it slightly. So I'm going to use this. Okay, so I'm going to use a different color so we can tell the difference. Okay, so we have A and B, and we have B connected to the side seam. Next step is add 2.5 cm button stand. So we have to add 2.5 cm to the center front for button stand. So I'll measure 2.5 and square it down. So add 2.5 for button stand. So you have to measure 2.5 here. 2.5 and then square it down. Okay, so this is our button stand. So this way I'll have to connect this towards the front to make sure it blends, and then connect the neckline too. Okay, so this is our button stand. Next step is mark button point on center front line at 1.75 below hem. So at 1.75 below hem, mark button stand. So we'll measure 1.75 downwards from the B and mark for button stand. 1.75. So 1.75 is what you mark here for button stand. I'll just scroll it down. Okay, next step, mark top button point. Mark top button point 2 cm from top. So the top button 2 cm from top. So from here, it says you should mark 2 cm downwards for the top button. So it's measure 2 cm downwards from the top button. So this. So if it's as you can see, I'm working on the CF line. That's why I was in different colors so we don't mix them up. This is what we are marking. That's along the CF line. Okay. Next, divide the distance for a 5-button fastening. So we need to divide the distance for the 5-button fastening. So we check the picture by the side of this video, and then you can measure what you have, divide and split evenly. So I just want to mark out the waistline. Mark this out. Just want to square it out. So we divide the distance and spread. So you could check your measurement. Divide it. So that way we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons. Next, remove 2 cm from front shoulder and add to the back shoulder line. So it says remove 2 cm. So we have to remove 2 cm from here. So we have to remove 2 cm from here, 2 cm, and take it to add to the back shoulder line. So let me move the pattern paper closer a bit. So it says remove 2 cm. So what I did, because I'm using colored pens, so I just used pencil at the top here so I can remove it and erase it before I complete the new shoulder seam. So in other words, they're trying to make the pattern is trying to make the shoulder of the back a bit longer than the front, so it's gonna come forward. So we are removing 2 cm from here and we are taking it to this part. So we'll do that now. So you measure your 2 cm and mark. You measure your 2 cm, measure your 2 cm, and you bring it here. Bring your 2 cm here, and you bring it here. So now I'm going to connect this. So this is my front shoulder, and I will erase the top one. Or I can just leave it there for you to see. But so we don't get confused, we can erase it. Okay. So it's still there, faint. And now this is our new shoulder for the front, and then we'll have to connect this shoulder for the back. So ensure the shoulder fits in, like the fitting lines, it goes all the way. So I've done this. Just have to ensure it sits right. Like the cuff sits at the back, and then your shoulder point also. Okay, so that's it. So this way we've moved 2 cm from the front, we added it to the back shoulder. Okay, moving on. Draw front and back yoke line. So this is the yoke line, that's the back line. It serves as the yoke line. Draw front and back yoke line, and this will be point C. Okay, and here will be point D. Here is E, and here is F. Okay, moving on. The next step is C to G. It's 3/4 measurement C to D. Square that. C to G. So we're trying to get C, we're going to get G. C to G is 3/4 measurement C to D. So the first thing we want to do is measure what you have C to D. Measure what you have C to D. Then 3 times whatever measurement you have C to D. So for instance, now what I measured is 11. So I'm going to multiply 11 by 3 and then divide the answer by 4. So whatever measurement you get C to D, multiply by 3, then divided by 4. Alright, so I have my measurement C to D is 11 multiplied by 3. So that will give me 33. So 33 divided by 4. That will give me 8.25. So whatever measurement you have C to D, you times it by 3 and then you divide by 4. So this is point G and it says square down. So square down whatever measurement you mark here, come down and then you square out. Okay, that's point G. So shaping back seam and side seam as required. So if you check the picture by the side, you would realize that there are some measurements that we have to take and it's written there. So that's what we'll be doing. So now for the back, that's for point G. Take in 5 cm. So we'll go 5 cm to the left, as shown. We'll go 5 cm to the left and mark. Then connect this measurement to G. Okay, next is the side. Now for the back side seam, we'll measure 4 cm in and mark. And then for the front side seam, we'll take in 4.5 cm and mark. So these measurements will be connected from UP down to the 4.5 on the side as shown. So we'll use a slight curve. Okay, and then I'll flip to connect the back. Please click the like button and drop your heart in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video. So here is 4 cm in, here is 4.5 cm in. That's it. So we've done the shaping for the side. Next is F to H. F to H is half measurement E to F. F to H is half measurement E to F. E to F minus 1 cm. Okay, half measurement E to F minus 1 cm. Sorry, that. So the measurement you have E to F. After getting the measurement, you remove 1 cm. Remove 1 cm. So this is my point H. So this is my point H. Okay, moving on. H to I and H to J is 4.25 cm. H to I and H to J is 4.25 cm. So H to I goes to the left and J goes to the right is 4.25. So I'll measure 4.25 to the left. This will be I, and then I'll measure 4.25 to the right, and this will be J. Okay, and it says square down. So square down this measurement. So I'll square down the H, the I, and the J. So I'll just take my measurement and bring all of them down, mark and square down. I'll just check what I have. Square down, and then the J. Okay, so square them down. Shape in front seam. Shape in front seam as required. Example shown. So we need to, using the diagram by the side, we need to take in the shape. Now for I, the shaping for I is 2.5 cm. So we'll go 1 cm to the right, 1.5 to the left, because looking at the diagram, the left side is a bit wider than the right side. So we'll do, the total is 2.5, so we'll do 1 cm here and then 1.5 backwards. We'll do 1 cm to the right and 1.5 to the left. Okay, total is 2.5, and then we'll connect to I. Next, the center front is, that's J. For point J, the shaping is 1 cm. So we'll just take 1 cm in. So from here, we're just taking 1 cm to the left. So this is the line. We're taking 1 cm to the left, and we'll connect. So I'm using a different color for this. That's it. So this is 1 cm in, and this total of this is 2.5. Alright, moving on. Draw in top pocket flap and pocket bag. So what we're doing is to draw in the pocket flap and pocket bag. Okay, now using the diagram, we have to use our discretion, but we can work with this measurement. So we can do our pocket bag 12 by 15. That's 12 inches wide and 15 inches long. So from the midpoint, that's from H is where I'm going to spread. So we do 12, that's 6, 6. From H, you do 6 to the right, 6 to the left to even it. So we'll do 6 to the left and 6 to the right. That's 12 inches. Sorry, please. That's 12 cm, please. That's 12 cm width, and then the length is 15 cm. The length is 15 cm. So this is 15, and this is 12. So from here, I'll still mark out the pink line. That's the width, and then pick up, because of the shape of the pocket, it goes up slightly, so you can go up by like 1.5 or 2 cm, a choice, in order to get the shape. So from here, I'll connect. Now this is my 12 cm. I'll connect down, and then I'll connect it to the 15 on point H line. So I'll connect it to the 15 cm. So I'll connect my 12 down, then to the 15. Remember what I did here? This is the 15 cm, this is the length, and then the width is 12. So I did 6 cm, 6 cm, and then here 15. Next, what I did was get a faint mark here that will serve as a guide, and then pick up the side by like, so you can pick up the side by like 2 cm, depending on the shape, in order for to get the required shape. Okay, so next we've gotten the pocket. Next is to get the pocket flap. For the pocket flap, we can use 1/3 of the length, which is 15. If we're using 1/3, we'll use 5. We'll use 5, and then if we have 5 here, we can reduce the side to like 3 or 3.5 in order to get the shape of the flap. So just watch the diagram and use it to connect. So we can do this and then flip and connect. Okay, so that's the flap. Next is, it says draw in facing line. So we have to draw in the facing line. Looking at what we have, the picture, we have to decide on the facing line. See how it goes, and then it goes down. So you can draw in the facing line as desired. So let's say use like 4 cm in or 3 cm from your neck point. So I'll be using the 1.5 here, and it needs to go down. Okay, so you need to connect it. It to go all the way down to the hem. So you can use whichever measurement works best for you. Draw out the faces. So this is what I'm using. And then allow it to blend out. So this is the facing. So drawing the facing now. Next, for this you can as well use a broken line. You can use a broken line. I want to ensure we don't have double lines. We can eliminate any double line. So you can use a broken line for this in order to be able to differentiate it so you don't make any errors. I will just use it now. That's it. Then we can see it. That's our fitting. Okay, next draw inside pocket. So draw inside pocket position and a pocket bag shape. For the side pocket, now we decide on the measurement. So we can use like the 9 by 2 cm, just the way we did we can use like 9 by 2 cm. Alright, now for the pocket, we would work with 9 by 2 cm. So we can measure from the eye line, that's the midline of the eye, to get, just use it as a guide. You can work with like 7 or 8 cm from the midline out and mark. And then the length. So when you're measuring the length, that's the 9 cm, using the diagram we're following, you realize that the length of the pocket comes up a bit from the waistline. So we use that as a guide. So we can come up by like 1 cm and mark. And then we say we're using 9 cm. That's pocket length 9 cm. So I will just work with this and then square out. Okay. Now the height of it is 2 cm. So I'll work with 2 cm and 2 cm. And then connect and connect. So there's no standard measurement for this, but just work with what we use for waistcoat. It works and it sits right. So we have this. Now we have to construct the bag. That's the shape of the bag. And looking at the diagram we're using, the bag goes a bit wider and longer towards the point J line. So it stops at that point J. So we just want to improvise, find a way for it to balance and for it to sit. So let's say the distance between this is like 2 cm backward, and then it goes all the way down, touching the hem. So it flows with the hem. So let me use this. It flows with the hem, and it goes slightly above. So this is the bag we are drawing now. So we can make it like 2 cm above the opening. So we can make it like 2 cm above the opening. Okay. So what we want to construct is the shape of the pocket bag. So the first thing, looking at the diagram, we want to ensure it goes straight towards the point I start. So let's say measure like from here, it should stop at like 4 cm. That's like 7 cm towards that, straight out this way. So I'm using the diagram to just construct this. It stops like 7 cm close to it, and from here now it will curve down towards the point J line, touching the point J line. So it's going downwards like this. sits this way. So placement is very important. So it blends in the lines. This is it. You can just try it and make sure everything sits right. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Alright, moving on, we're done with the pocket bag. Mark point K on the original shoulder point box. So this is the original shoulder point. Now this is the original shoulder point. That was before we transferred it to CM back. So it says mark point K on the original shoulder point. So this is K. This is K marked on the original shoulder point. And next we'll be working on the collar and facing. So collar and facing, construct the draft for a standard convertible collar. So we want to construct our collar. So you can watch the video for a collar to construct the collar. And then we'll trace off facing. Next is the trace off facing and complete. The front panels, trace off front sections and add seam allowance to front line, panel lines, top lines and bottom lines. So now what's left is for us to trace them out, trace each part out. So front yoke, this is the front yoke. This is the front yoke. It is okay. Let me do it one after the other. So the front panel, we have to trace it out, and we have to trace out the front yoke. We have to trace out our facing, and add seam allowance for front line, panel lines, top lines, and bottom lines. So by the time we trace it out, we're going to add seam allowance on all these parts. Next, the back. Okay, front yoke, trace off front yoke, add seam allowance to bottom edge, to the bottom edge, front edge, and neckline. So for the back, we'll trace off back section, add seam allowance to panel lines, top lines, and bottom lines. Back yoke, trace off back yoke, add seam allowance to bottom edge and neckline. Pocket, trace off pocket flap and welt, add seam allowance, trace off pocket bags, add seam allowance. Sleeves, so we'll move on to sleeve and then we'll trace out all these points separately and then add the necessary seam allowance. Alright, this is the sleeve traced out. So remember it says mirror sleeves. So we have one part and then we have to mirror it in order to have the full sleeve. So this is the full sleeve traced out. Okay, moving on, mark point L on top. Okay, it says shorten sleeve by 3.5 cm. So from the hem of the sleeve we take up 3.5 and mark. So shorten it by 3.5 and mark and square out. So this will shorten it. Okay, next, mark point L on top of sleeve head. So this will be L, and M on hem. So this new hem that will shorten is where our M would be. Moving on, it says measure the distance between D and K on body draft plus 2 cm. That's what we'll mark as L to N. So we're trying to get L to N. This is our L here. We're trying to get N. So it says measure the distance between D and K on body's block plus 2 cm. So that's what we'll do next. Okay, so just check for D. This is D, this is the K. That's for the back armhole. So you measure what you have D to K. On the back armhole, you measure it, what you have from D to K. And then add 2 cm to it. So whatever you have D to K plus 2 cm, you measure from L towards the left. So L, this will be N. So L to N is D to K plus 2 cm. Okay. Next is mark 0 on the back sleeve line. So this is where we'll mark our 0 on the back sleeve line. M to P is 1/3 the distance M to O. So M to P is 1/3 the distance. So we'll measure what we have from M to O and divide by 3. Measure whatever you have M to O divided by 3. So when you divide it by 3, Whatever you have M to O is what you mark from M towards the left. So that's what we'll be using. So this will be point P. Okay. Then it says P to Q is 1 cm. Okay, let me write it here so you don't miss it. So P to Q is 1 cm. So from P you measure 1 cm to the right for Q. And this is Q. So P to Q is 1 cm to the right. And then we'll connect. So it says mark top positions. So I'll connect from N to P. Then Q to like halfway across the line. Okay. So we have our N. We have our N. We have our P and Q. Moving on. Trace off sleeve section, add seam allowance to back seam lines and bottom edge. So we want to trace off the sleeve and then add the necessary seam allowance. So that means we're tracing it off, we'll trace off the back, that means we'll cut out on this line, we'll trace off the down part which is going to serve as the cuff. We'll trace off this, so it's going to be like panel, so this will be one piece and this part will become one piece. So you have to trace them off separately and then add the necessary seam allowance. So trace them separately. Okay, next we have to move on to the waistband. So construct a waistband. The width is 3 cm, length is measurement of the lower edge of the jacket plus 2.5 for button stand. So for us to construct our waist dart, it will be 3 cm by the lower edge of our jacket. Alright, so we'll measure from, it says measure the bottom edge. Don't forget, we'll miss out all these points because we won't be, by the time we're attaching the waistband, we would have joined the panel line, so we'll be missing out this point. So it says measure the bottom edge, that's the lower edge of the jacket. So I'll measure from here to the first dart leg, miss it and continue. So whatever measurement I have from here to here, let me hold it this way. So I'll measure this way to the dart leg, so it's almost 6. Then I'll miss it and continue the measurement here to the side. So you see I'm measuring to the green line, not the pink, which is where our shaping is. And then I will continue the measurement in front towards this dart, miss out this line, continue it here towards here, miss out this spacing. So look at it, I'll miss out this spacing. So all this dart that we created, I will be missing it out, and then to the front. So I have 23, and it says bottom edge plus 2.5. I mean, bottom edge plus 2.5. So bottom edge plus 2.5, that would be the length, and then the width is 3 cm standard. So what I measured was 23. I'll just add the 2.5 and I would mark. So you want to create a straight line. So I'm going to construct the band down here so we can see. So you want to ensure your line is accurate, straight, perfectly done. Okay. And it says the width is 3 cm standard. Cm, and would mark, would connect. And then connect the points. So next is to add the necessary seam allowance. So we have to indicate the center back. This is center back. The center back, don't forget, is on fold. So that means here will be on fold. So I'll just write food here. This is center back. So here will be on food when cotton on fabric, and this is our waistband. So we have to label and then add the necessary seam allowance. There'll be button here. Don't forget we added the button measurement. So we'll add seam allowance at the top and at the bottom edge. Alright, so I've added the necessary seam allowance. So we have seam allowance one by the side, and we can use one seam for the seam allowance. So this is our waistband done. So next is the cuff. So construct a cuff with the width should be 3.5 and the length is 29 cm. So that's what we're doing, constructing the cuff. So I'll just construct the cuff down here. So construct it now. So the cuff is 29. Don't forget with this now, with this 29 cm, that means the button stand has been included. So measure 29 and square out. And the width is 3.5 cm. So measure 3.5 cm and mark. So measure 3.5 and mark, and then square out. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Kindly drop a heart in the comment section. Thank you. And if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask. Okay. Alright, now this is the cuff. And then we'll just add the necessary seam allowance around it. So you can use one seam. We'll just add necessary seam allowance. Now we're done adding the seam allowance. This is where the button will be, and this will be cut. So you have to label, indicate, write out all the measurements, everything, all the necessary details. Okay. So tab, the next is a tab. Construct a tab with 3 cm length, 12 cm, and add seam allowance. So that's what we're doing next. We'll be constructing the tab. And then we'll go ahead to write out all the tab is 3 by 12. So that's the width is 3 cm and the length is 12. So connect. So connect and then add necessary seam allowance around it. So this is a tab. I'll also label and write out all the necessary details. So add the necessary seam allowance around it as like 1 cm. So this is the seam allowance. Okay, so let's just ensure we write out. Here is 5 cm, here is 4 cm. So you want to ensure you write out all the details because I want to see it. Here is 4.5 cm. So whoever is working with your pattern will be able to relate. Here is 2.5 cm. Here is 1 cm. So this is the waistline. This is our back. That's the back yoke. This is the front. That's the front yoke. So just write out the details, and this is the facing. Okay. Now this is the center back where we will not have any allowance, and back neck at the top. So this is it with all the details. This is the pocket bag. So now if we're tracing out, we'll trace out this pocket bag and then add seam allowance. We trace out the chest pocket bag We'll trace out the chest, the pocket flap, and then we'll add the necessary seam allowance. So everything just as the picture beside you. Like now, I did the facing for the back. That's the yoke of the back, and I added seam allowance. So this is how we just put it side by side, so that when cutting it will be easier. The sleeve will take out the back part. We'll cut out on this line, and then add the seam allowance. So this is like the shaping. We're cutting. We'll take out this and this. Add seam allowance. Cut them separately. Add the necessary seam allowance, and indicate all the parts. So this will also be cut on straight grain. This will be cut on straight grain. So just look at the diagrams at the side and use it to write out all the details. So this is the usual part. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comment section.